Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. In this video I'll be looking at the Soulforge and giving my opinion of what I think is good and bad in there. But first I pop into the shop every Monday and always grab the latest free troop, which is this case Centurion. What I do, if you've got enough glory, is boost it up to Mythic straight away, which usually takes between 30 and 40, I've already done that. The troop is nothing special, I don't think, looking at its spell. There was a 10% chance to devour a random enemy, plus 10% for each wild card, then convert all skulls to ×2 wild cards. That's okay, the traits are nothing special. The first one's not too bad, reflect 25% of skull damage via infernal armor. Wild magic, the second one, 25% chance to create a ×2 wild card when matching 4 or more gems. But the third one's a bit weird. From dark, summon a dark storm when an ally dies. So one of our team has to die to get what is usually supposed to be the best trait. That's a bit strange to me. This sort of troop may work with more than one of them in the team. Not sure, we'd have to experiment with that, but these new troops, nothing special anyway. For me, the main benefit of these troops is the extra trait stones you get and the extra glory keys, so grab them if you can. And now let's get on with the Soulforge review. Start with the weapons. These ones down here are there all the time. Trick and Treat I quite like. A lot of people thought it was a bit average, but I actually really like it. Inflicts all negative status effects on an enemy and grants myself all the positive ones, so kind of a mix between Reflection of Good and Essence of Evil. What you don't get with this is obviously the explosion of gems with those two weapons, so there's no mana recharging for the rest of the team, so obviously you immediately hand back the turn to the opposition, but still it's good and I do like that one a lot. Duskbringer and the other ones, a couple of others have been gone over in other Soulforge reviews, but we'll just take a look at these ones that are here now. Firefly deals damage to an enemy boosted by Centaur allies, then creates a mix of 6 green and yellow gems for each Centaur ally. These weapons can be handy because the event at the moment I think is Divinian Dreams, and it's based on Centaurs and Divinian Field, so basically these can be handy to help get those events done quicker and easier. Again, same as this one, another one which may help with the Divinian Dreams event, which is this week. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by Divinian Field's allies, then creates a mix of 6 blue and yellow gems for each Divinian Field's ally. So you need a whole team of Divinian Field's allies to make this sort of thing work, but you need that anyway, or at least Centaurs, for the event, so can certainly help you out. Doomed Chronicle, absolutely superb. For only 18 mana cost, these things are devastating. Deals, in my case, 42 scatter damage plus 4 per tempering level, then create a mix of 6 purple gems and skulls for every purple enemy. Give 3 magic to all allies. If the enemy has a doom, give 5 more. Now, if you don't do Guild Wars, then this is still worth getting because this can be really, really good in PvP, but if you do Guild Wars, then I would say this thing is utterly essential. On attack, on Purple Day, it's going to be super dangerous, and even on Purple Day defense, stick it in your defense on purple with another team built around it, and it's hellish for the opposition. If this thing gets to cast, it can change the game in one single turn. Really, really good, and really, really good value as well. 900 diamonds sounds a lot, but in reality it's not. When you think about Mythics being 4,000 diamonds, this thing is less than a quarter of the cost of one of those, and when you think how utterly rubbish some of the Mythics are and how good this is, it's an absolute no-brainer to go and get this for 900 diamonds. A superb weapon. Go get it now! All these others are still there all the time, and this is not Shooting Star. What's this? Dispels all enemies, deals damage to an enemy and eliminate half their attack. Sounds vaguely okay on paper. Yeah, but it's yellow and green, which is a bit naff, because the thing with using green is 2 things spring to mind immediately, and that's Essence of Evil and Doomed Glaive, I think it is. Both really, really good weapons, and 2 weapons that are green I would rather have in place than this. And there are other troops that do dispel all enemies, so completest sake on that weapon, I would say. So the absolute pick of the bunch there for me is Doomed Chronicle. Now let's take a quick look at the troops. A lot of these ones, like Scroll Reborn, Hattai Ascendant, Leonis Tower, Enraged Kurandara, are there all the time. So they are in previous reviews of the Soulforge, so take a look back in them if you need to find out more about those. But Vashdagon, devours an ally, then summons a daemon if the ally is devoured. What it means by that is you have to make sure the ally is devoured first. So if you cast this on an ally which is immune to devour, you're not going to get the summon. So that's not going to work. You need to make sure you cast this on someone in your team that is not immune to devour. And then, in my case, deals 48 true scatter damage boosted by his life. Now his life will be that 48 in my case, plus that 96 of standard life, plus the life of the ally that got devoured. So, done correctly, this can be quite a powerful spell. But this is still a mid-level troop for me, and overall not worth particularly crafting, because it's super situational. You do need to plan pretty much the whole team around Vashtagan for it to work properly. So, for that reason, not exactly essential. Unlike Arachnian Weaver, if you've been a bit unlucky for the last few months, or the last couple of weeks even, and missed out on him because he's been half price for a while, then I'd still get it. It's still worth 4,000 diamonds if you don't have it right now. It's one of the best mythics in the game. Webs all enemies, which reduces the magic to all enemies it got applied to 0, which can cripple the entire team. Then deals a bunch of true damage to the last 2 enemies, and if the enemy dies, explodes 15 gems. This sort of thing works superbly well with a weapon like Life and Death. If you cast Life and Death first, and then Arachnian Weaver second, then that is enough to kill one of the last 2 enemies. You can explode a load of gems, which most of the time is then going to charge up Life and Death and or Arachnian Weaver again to repeat the process. Super damaging, super good. Love Arachnian Weaver. The traits are fantastic as well. Stealthy, cannot be targeted by spells. Impervious, immune to all status effects, Devour, Lycanthropy and Mana Burn. And Creeping Doom, a superb third trait. 75% chance to summon a web spinner when an enemy dies. Wow, that is really good. If you've got a web spinner fully traded up, it will do triple skull damage to pretty much everything, and that is going to one-shot many opponents. And that is a third trait on this thing. So that's like really good. If you don't have Arachnian Weaver and have the diamonds, absolutely get it. Absolutely love it. Zul'Goth is here all the time. We know all about him. Undyne deals damage to an enemy and the next enemy below, boosted by Merfolk and submerged allies, then submerge blue allies and silence blue enemies. So super mega situational. You need this in a team of all blue against all blue enemies, really. And even then, it's just a mid-level spell. Nothing fantastic about it. And looking at those traits, the middle one's okay, but the third trait can actually go against it. Submerge myself at the start of every turn. If the enemy scouts you and they see you've got that third trait on this thing, then they could put Captain McCaw in the team, which I forget what the first part of the spell is, but the second part is to basically kill someone if they're submerged. So if they see this guy in the team they're fighting and they see you've got that third trait, they can drop in a Captain McCaw into their side, knowing that they will just kill him as soon as Captain McCaw casts, guaranteed. So again, completist sake, not exactly essential at all. Xanathos, again, not particularly great at all. Steals life and half the magic from an enemy, and then if the enemy dies, summons 1 to 3 random undead. So even if this is ready to cast, you have to wait to cast it half the time to get the most out of it. You need someone to die. So it's not that great. The way to gauge the strength of many mythics, I think, is is how often you come across them in PvP and Guild Wars, and you don't see yourself fighting this guy very often. So if you don't see him very often, he's not that good. Same as War. War, I believe, was maybe the first ever mythic in the game, and probably decent for his time, but has long since been superseded by monumentally better mythics, and legendaries are better than this guy now. Burns all enemies, then deals 30 damage in my case to an enemy boosted by his attack, then gets an extra turn if they die. Wow. Like I say, even legendaries do more damage than that now in a much better, bigger way. So he's been long since superseded by better troops. The traits are pretty good though, the first two in particular. 50% chance to ignore armor with skull damage is fairly good. You can one-shot opponents sometimes in a skull-based team. Reflect 25% of skull damage is okay, but that third trait these days is absolutely useless. Gain 3 attack at the start of each turn. That's not enough these days, unfortunately, where we get so many games now which are fast games based on super high damage that it's going to take too long to become significant. So poor old War is not any good anymore. And I didn't even mean for that to be a rhyme if it was. Right, Out of the legendaries that is there, generally I don't say to craft any legendaries. They're going to turn up in chests soon enough, so be patient. The Great Maw, nothing great at all. It sounds good initially. Devour an enemy. Create 8 yellow and 8 brown gems. 1 cast only though is the main bad thing about this. And that super high mana cost is slightly bizarre, to be honest. The trait's nothing fantastic either. The last one's actually a bit weird, what they've titled it. Hunger. Suggesting this thing's hungry. So if he's so hungry, then if he devours an enemy, but can only do it 1 time, he can't be that hungry, can he? So what if he devours a pixie? What, devoured a little pixie and that's it? Oh, I'm full up. Can't eat another bite, mate. Full to the brim. No good. Isabel's pretty good. Deals damage to the first enemy equal to an allied attack, then gives a certain amount of attack and armor to them, then gives 3 to 8 mana to all allies other than herself. So that's pretty good. She can be good in a certain team, with other knights in particular. Spooky Imp is very, very good as well. The reason why this is so good is that third trait gains 8 magic on purple gem matches. Now I'll show a team later on, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon, where if you use 2 of these at the same time in a team that generates tons of purple consistently, basically that gain 8 magic becomes gain 16 magic. And like I say, you get it in a looping team with purple, which is possible. That scatter damage goes through the roof and you can do massive damage in no time at all. And is really, really good for that. And I will show that team later on. So subscribe if you don't want to miss that, if you haven't done so already. Queen Grapple Pot. Again, another fairly decent mythic. Deals 31 damage to all enemies, boosted by ally and enemy goblins, and gains the obligatory goblin extra turn. Traits nothing special though, but an okay troop. But overall, like I say, nothing particularly worth crafting there. So the pick of the bunch this week, absolutely Arachnian Weaver again. Is like the ever-present at the moment there from the troops, and the weapons, absolutely, I would say, get Doom's Chronicle. Both superb, and there's the video. If you found it useful or helpful, be cool if you liked and subscribed, because it really does help. But most of all, thanks for watching. See you again next time. Bye for now.